Any mention of AI and video editing is such a touchy subject right now. I mean, I don't want to be replaced by the machine, but the brand new DaVinci Resolve 20 beta that's out now, you can go download it. It's loaded with tons of new AI tools. But actually, they seem to be taking care of more of the boring, time-consuming tasks so that we can be more creative. Now, this video right here is going to explain all of the DaVinci Resolve 20 AI features so that we can decide together what our creative future holds. AI music editor. Have you ever had a long piece like this that you like, but you need it shorter because the video is for 15 seconds or 30? This is a great way to cut it up without you having to go and find the perfect cut points. And it's a great starting point. So the way it works, you select the clip, open it in the inspector, and you'll find this right over here. Obviously, DaVinci Resolve Studio would be the key here. Music editor, and you can either hit adjust with a specific duration, or you can hit the live trim button, which is going to give you basically like a trimming control to tuck this up. You see it's a little bit of a different icon there. Let's say I want it that long. It's going to analyze the clip and it's going to find beats in the music where it's going to transition gently between them and make a nice new cut of music that's the duration that you need. And there we go. It has trimmed it up. It looks like it's placed one cut. It's got sort of this zigzaggy line in here. Another thing you can always do in here is the AI music editor gives you options. So we have an option 1, an option 2, an option 3, and option 4. So you can listen to all those and see which one works really well. Let's see if we can even hear the cut right here. Hey, not bad, right? All right, this next one is going to be called AI Beat Detector for your music. Now, I know you don't always want to be cutting on the beat, but sometimes you do, and this is going to help you out with snapping enabled. So the way it works is real simple. You right-click on a music track. It's the bottom option there. It says Show Music Beats. And it's going to listen to the music and it's going to make snapping points for you. So you just want to make sure you have snapping enabled. That's this N button is the shortcut, or this magnet right here. And now if I use my trim tool, T for trim, I can make sure when I'm going along here, I'm snapping to the beat of the music. So when I make a cut, it's happening on a beat of the music. So it's just one of those things that's supposed to help you along, you know? I think this is going to work best with beat-driven music, obviously, but this can be a great way to easily cut to the beat, and then you can change it later and turn snapping off. AI IntelliScript. Now this one piqued my curiosity a lot. The idea is you pull footage in, you give it a script, and Resolve just cuts it for you. Now the way that it actually works is still very much in beta, I'll tell you that. I filmed a really bad, I would just say spoof commercial about the DaVinci Resolve editor keyboard. I had like 7 different scenes here. You can listen. Navigate timelines faster than ever with the multifunctional search dial. Basically, I pulled these in. They're subclips. I ran the transcription engine on it right up here. So they all Resolve knows what the audio of each of the clips is. So once that's done, you right click to select the clips and you go to the new AI tools contextual option. And you can say create a new timeline using IntelliScript. So once you choose that, you feed it a text file. It's just a plain old text file like that. Click open, and just like that, almost instantly, it has created a timeline that it has dropped a few of my scenes. I went from scene 1 to 3 to 6 to 7, and it's probably not the best timing, but this is to give me like an initial radio edit. Speed, precision, control. Precision at your fingertip. Not harder. Built for pros, made for speed. Speed. So I don't know. I think it's got a ways to go, but I think it's really cool. The idea behind Resolve knows what the text is, and it knows a script, so it could assemble that for you. Honestly, with IntelliScript, I do want to know down below, how do you feel about DaVinci Resolve actually editing a script together for you for that initial pass? Is it helpful? Because most of the work is actually not that first pass. I don't know. AI Magic Mask 2. Now, if you've used Magic Mask in the past, this is just a better, faster, cleaner version of it, and it has some extra cleanup tools. So to use it, it's on the color page only right now. This 3-dot menu over here gives you option to use the legacy one, but it's already set up to use the second version. Just use that. It's better. Trust me, right? So to make use of it, I'm first going to click on the little highlight button here so I can see the results of it after I click. Make sure you have your eyedropper set to the plus icon, and this time you just do a single click. A single click is all you need. You do not do the swipey motion like you did in past versions. You know what? I'm just going to leave this on faster because, you know, this is probably a fine selection. I'm just going to use this to maybe bump the exposure, contrast, saturation on him as he jumps in. And you can see this thing is just cranking. It's doing really, really well. But the other thing I want to mention about Magic Mask 2 is they give you a little bit of extra cleanup controls on a frame-by-frame basis. So on the Fusion page, I've shown before you can use Mask Paint to clean up any of the flickering that happens with, AI-generated masks in the past. You can do that here as well. So I'll show you how that works. I'm going to disable this overlay. I'll go up here to my normal highlight mode. You can go to this black and white mode, and you can see the actual mask that's being generated from here. And I'll see if there's any frames as I come through here that are, maybe they have a bit of flicker on the edge or something that didn't need to exist. In fact, this was actually done so well that I don't really see any at all. Maybe let's pretend we didn't want that shoe or that foot right there to appear. You could come over here. You've got the paint brushes down here. Subtract paint stroke. It's on a frame by frame basis, and you just come in there and click, and then it goes away. White reveals, black conceals, Z zoom to fit. And then the other thing I will mention is because I use the faster mode, I have pretty jaggy edges, and we can just blur this after the mat's been generated with things down here like blur radius, and that'll just soften up those edges a little bit. And for color correction, this is generally more than enough. AI Audio Assistant. Now this is a way for DaVinci Resolve over here to do an automatic AI-based professional mix for you in the background. Now they do suggest you duplicate your timeline first because then you don't have to worry about changing settings if you didn't like it. So duplicate your timeline first, go to the timeline menu, we've got AI tools, and here it is, AI Audio Assistant. And we get to choose a delivery preset. Sure, we'll choose YouTube, and it'll automatically mix the thing. It's going to sort things for us. And let's take a listen when this is done to how it sounds. It's got audio classification, dialogue mix, music mix. Geez, it went so fast. Let's take a listen.
So, faith is rising up. I grabbed Nate and I was like, hey, I got this idea. Can you help me flesh it out? And of course, he just gets on the keys and he's like, boom, 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 boom. Next thing I know, the song is ready, but we needed a bridge.
I don't remember.
That's where the line came from, where we said,
wow, that is not too bad. Let's listen to what it was just before. So this is the original.
So, faith is rising up. I grabbed Nate and I was like, hey.
It definitely did a lot to his voice there. We'll come back over here. This is the mixed one.
Faith is sure. I'm gonna see what I'm praying for.
I'm gonna see what I'm praying for.
Sometimes that means that you gotta walk into a room of believers and...
Not bad. This is pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if I'll use it every time, but to be able to just push a button and a few minutes later there's a mix ready to go for YouTube or wherever else you need to send it, this is going to help a lot of people, including myself. DaVinci Resolve 20 also has AI Multicam SmartSwitch. So if you have a multi-camera podcast, for instance, you just need to get it cut up really quickly. You hit this little Multicam SmartSwitch button that's now in the window. Now you need to be in the make sure you're in multicam mode to see this. Click it and you get some different parameters. But one thing that I think is really interesting about it is that it's not just listening to audio. Yes, you can just say use audio only for fast analysis, but it actually looks at the video pixels, like if people's mouths are moving, to know when it switches. So the way you work with it, I mean, obviously there's a lot of parameters we could change and adjust. I haven't had time to do that yet, but click Analyze. It's gonna go through this entire 20-minute multicam and cut up the video for us so that we can have a finished video while we go grab our coffee. And we're down to the last 8 seconds of the analysis on the AI Multicam SmartSwitch. They created 222 clips. Let's take a quick listen to see how well it did on some of these cuts to see if it actually followed the picture like you would want to do if you're editing this manually.
Well, animals don't like that feeling of slipping and falling.
Right. You don't want to trigger the fear of falling.
If you trigger the fear of falling, your animal is going to be upset.
Right.
And I gave a talk recently at a veterinary conference.
Pretty cool. I think this could definitely work. Oh man, this is definitely one of those things that I could see saving a lot of time when you constantly have these long conversations and you need to get the video out there. AI voice convert. You maybe heard of 11 Labs. Well, the idea here is we could take a recording and convert it into someone else's voice later on. It's not entering text and converting it. It is taking a recording, converting it. So it's a two-step process for this to work. First, you have to train DaVinci Resolve on the voice. The way that's done is you record a sample or you feed it a sample. So let's take a listen.
DaVinci Resolve 19 features powerful new DaVinci Neural Engine AI tools.
So that's my wife. I recorded her right over the microphone. To create an AI or voice model in here, you right-click on the clip in the bin that you want to use to create the model. And then you go to AI tools, the new AI tools, and we have a new option here called DaVinci AI Voice Training. As soon as you click this, gives you warning about copyright, legal issues. Obviously, never, ever, ever think about using someone's voice you don't have access to. You accept it, and it takes a while. I'm not gonna lie, this took about an hour to generate a model. But once that model of that voice is created, I'll show you how you can use it. Here's an example of what it sounds like with my voice right now. Navigate timelines faster than ever with the multifunctional search dial. It's precision at your fingertips. I know, don't laugh too hard right now. Now to convert it, all you're gonna do is select all the clips down there on the timeline, right click, obviously the audio clips, and then we have this option right here called Voice Convert. After you choose Voice Convert, the box comes up here. You choose the voice model that you built. I built one called Ashley. That's just her name. You hit render, and actually you get the choice right here. Before you do this, I want to point out the track of where you want it to go. Render in place is going to basically like overwrite the audio that's there. Instead of doing that, I might just say I want this to go down to audio 2, for instance, so that I can A/B compare the two. Hit render. And it's going to actually render out, like it's going to create an audio file that didn't exist before using the inflections of her voice and putting right there in the timeline for us. This timeline is a little less than 30 seconds, and it looks like it's taking about 30 seconds to do the conversion. Now let's take a listen if I solo just this new track that has her voice that was AI generated.
Speed, precision, control. The DaVinci Resolve Editor keyboard takes your editing workflow to the next level. Navigate timelines faster than ever with a multifunctional search dial. It's precision at your fingertips.
Okay, again, please don't laugh, but this opens up so many opportunities when you think of like, maybe you're recording in a loud environment somewhere outside and you need to do ADR, and maybe it's just even ADR with your own voice. You could build a model of your own voice and easily swap it out with a much cleaner signal. AI animated subtitles. That means word for word things can pop up on screen. We're gonna go to the timeline menu like we did before, but this time it's inside the AI tools. It wasn't here in 19, so if you're looking for it, create subtitles for audio, which is just listening to the timeline to create our subtitles initially from just listening to it. So as this creates the subtitles, then we can easily change it out with a fusion title afterwards. So let's take a listen, make sure it's correct first.
Our response is not to wait with eager expectation for the day when we get event.
All right, so some text is there, it doesn't matter what it is, but the idea is you go to the effects panel. Now under the toolbox, we have a whole category for subtitles that are animated that Blackmagic has done for us. So you could do something like word highlight. You drag word highlight to this track header area of subtitles. And now this is going to be responsive to the text changes as it goes. And it's editable after the fact, so check this out.
Our response is not to wait with eager expectation for the day when we get avenged. Like instead, our response is to take.
If I select the track, this is a track level effect, come over here to the inspector, and then with the track selected, track over here, we can change parameters. So in the past, I've shown how you can limit the fonts to a certain font list. Let's do that here. So let's say our brand font is going to be Archivo Condensed or something like that. And we want to make it much, much larger. And we want to reposition it on screen because, you know, we maybe want that up in the center there. And who wants yellow? I don't want yellow. I want white. I'll choose that there. And
our response is not to wait with eager expectation for the day when we get avenged. Like instead, our response is to take a lesson from the parable of the unmerciful servant.
Pretty amazing, right? If you're doing social media content and you're not doing DaVinci Resolve, I think you might be doing something wrong. AI IntelliCut. Now I think this only works on the Fairlight page, and I want to show you one of the features it can do, and that's to checkerboard out audio sources. If you have multiple people that talked into the same microphone, they're on the same channel, it can split them out so it makes it easier to apply, you know, different gain levels, different EQs to sweeten their voice a little bit. Here's an audio sample with 2 people and 1 mic. So in the past, you talked a lot about animals. Where does that passion come from? So that's my voice.
I think just because we always had pets growing up in my house.
All right, so there's my wife's voice. So it switches from one voice to the other. The way this works is I'm going to use my edit selection tool, select the bottom range of it, which just selects the whole clip. It's an easy way to do that. And then right click on the clip and we'll go to the AI tools and choose checkerboard to new tracks. When you click this, the idea is the AI in here is going to switch from one person to the other so that each track can be worked on independently. In fact, I might change this here because I know I started. I'll change the name of the speaker here to Ashley, and we'll take a listen. I'll hit Option X to clear my in and out range. And
So in the past, you talked a lot about animals. Where does that passion come from?
look at that.
I think just because we always had pets growing up in my house. From the moment I was born, we had a dog, cat.
Look at that. Let's see what happens when it cuts back up, if it caught me.
So we kept them, and then they made more kittens.
So you've had a lot of cats, huh? How many
Yeah.
cats were in this box?
Just 2.
Okay.
We named them Adam and Eve.
Were they the first cats that were in
No,
the family?
we already had one before that was older.
Okay.
Then we had Adam and Eve.
It's not too bad, right? So it is switching. When there's overlap, it's making its best judgment. So that is the checkerboard audio feature. Another really cool tool you can work with in Fairlight that's AI based is to remove silent areas, or basically areas that are below a certain threshold where it just basically deletes the audio. Now you probably want to have some sort of a background bed of audio when you do this, but this could clean up any extra sort of noise in the signal. And the way this one works is you select the edit tool, we'll get a range selected again, you right click, and this one is called, well, to remove silence, it's the remove silence right there. It's not under the AI tools. So this is going to give me sort of a threshold of adjustments that I can make, and the red areas are basically telling me where it's going to completely non-destructively delete from the timeline. So I might want to make it not cut out quite so frequently, so I can change the threshold here, as well as add fades to the beginning and end of the clips. I might just turn these numbers down a little bit differently so we don't cut in quite as much. I don't know. Remove silence.
So in the past, you talked a lot about animals. Where does that passion come from?
I think just because we always had pets growing up in my house.
I think that's a much better result. AI Smooth Cut. So what Smooth Cut does is it helps you cover up jump cuts in interviews. And yes, Smooth Cut's been on these keyboards, it's been around for a long time, but this is a new version of it. So I want to show you how this works and how it compares to the old one. So this is the jump cut I'm dealing with in my timeline.
Kansas City to the camp there. Well, on Sunday afternoon, we
Pretty jarring, right? And this right underneath it is a rendered out compound clip of using the smooth cut. So I did render it out. I found it's better to compound clip it and render the transition out, but here it is with smooth cut with speed warp.
City to the camp there. Well, on Sunday afternoon, we needed
Isn't that beautiful? That's a great thing. So this is what the old one looked like without the speed check box checked in the inspector.
the camp there. Well, on Sunday afternoon,
See how if you look at this part of the frame, it just totally morphs and meshes the chair in the background as her head moves. The old one was not able to identify her separately from the background, apparently, so this is the old one.
to the camp there. Well, on Sunday afternoon,
Here is the new one that's been rendered as a compound clip.
camp there. Well, on Sunday afternoon,
And then here's the original jump cut.
to go to Kansas City to the camp there. Well, on Sunday afternoon, we
I'll tell you, the AI super scale has also been improved. So if you're working with like 1080p footage and you need it to mesh with like 8K footage, a lot of people talk about using Topaz. You don't necessarily need to do that. You just need Resolve Studio, the AI super scale tab over here in the inspector, and change this to something bigger. 4X would be like going from 1080 to 8K. If you're just going to 4K from 1080, you could use the 2X enhanced as well. And all that is better performance, better looking. But there's also the AI depth map that got improvements, and that's always been a bear and really hard on the computer. I found it performs much, much better. So this is a really monotonous, like very blue shot. Maybe I want to introduce some warms into it, some sort of, later morning vibes to the foreground. I could add another node here with Option S, drag the depth map effect from the inspector, and you'll see it has automatically separated the layers of the foreground to the background so that I can separate them, as if it was like real light hitting them, you know what I mean? So to do this, I'm just gonna turn off this depth map preview. It's already working on this separated alpha channel. And then a great way to change color temperature on part of it is just the HDR color wheels have this temperature slider down here in the corner. I'll just crank that, make it nice and warm, and we'll start to see what an output is on that white area. Remember, the white reveals and black conceals. And you can see I was able to get a kiss of light, of sunlight there on that front of that building. And to me, this just makes the shot more interesting. Now I gotta ask a favor, please down below, leave a comment and let me know which of these AI features they put into DaVinci Resolve is gonna help you and which ones you're concerned might hurt you. And that's gonna actually inform me on what I should be teaching on over the next year.